Hi everyone, Mr. Mott here. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to start a Zoom meeting that you've already set up in Zoom. So you're ready to start the live lesson right now. Now, if you need to know how to create a Zoom meeting, get that set up ahead of time, please see my other tutorial. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the Zoom website and you're going to click on Sign In. Then you're going to sign in with whatever account information you use. In my district, we use Google Suite. So I can just click on sign in with Google and I'll be logged right in. So that's what I'm going to do next. Once you log in, you should see this screen, which is your scheduled meetings, unless you have nothing scheduled. If you don't have anything scheduled, it'll send you to the profile tab first, which will have your name, that you're a teacher, your um, regular meeting ID number, things like that. So to get to this tab, just click on meetings. So I have a meeting here that I already scheduled. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to click the start button. Now, this is always what happens when you click on the start button is Screencastify is asking, oh, I'm sorry, Zoom is asking if it can open the application that you already installed on your computer, which I highly recommend you do it this way because it gives you all the features that are available to you. If for some reason the application isn't working right, then you can use the click here button and it'll open your Zoom meeting within your browser. But when I did that on my computer the other day, I didn't get all the features. I wasn't able to see the kids in a grid format. So I recommend use the application that's on your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and click open Zoom and then it'll open the application. So when the application window opens, it'll show you if you named it, what the name of your meeting is. It'll show your name, the password for this meeting if you need to give that to parents, the numerical password if someone's calling you in on their phone, and the URL to send to people if you still need to do that. Now, the first option down here, join audio, you don't have to worry about. That's already set. It's just letting you know that you're on. And if you're not sure, just in the bottom left corner here, if the mic is bouncing up and down with green, that means your mic's working fine. The kids should hear you. There's also the share screen option here. This is if you don't want the kids seeing your face and you just want them to see something that's on your computer screen, then you would use that option. And then there's the invite others button here where you can click on that and you can, if you're in a Google district, you'd be able to type in teacher names, student names to find people to add quickly, or you could type in like email addresses to like your aides in your classroom, things like that, if you need to do that. Now, this box down here, participants, is orange because I have students who are already logged in, ready to attend this meeting. Remember, by default, in Groton, my district, everyone's dumped into the waiting room and you have to approve them. Okay. Just before you do that, this might be a good idea just to check on some security settings to make sure they are the way you want them to be. So if you click on security, you can just double check that my district enable waiting rooms default. The lock meeting button is there after everyone joins the meeting. You can lock it if you like. Be careful if you lock it. Once they leave, they can't get back in. And if someone comes late, they can't get in. Just think about that. Allow participants to share their screen. If you don't want anyone sharing their screen, leave that unchecked. If you want to be able to share screens, leave that checked. Like I was thinking, if a student's having trouble with the screen, I'd want them to be able to share their screen with me so I can fix the problem. Or if I'm helping them with a lesson, I need to see their screen. So I might want to leave that checked. Chats, if you want your kids to be able to talk to each other, you can have the chat box feature. There are security settings that lock that down. We'll talk about that more in a second. And if you want the students to be able to rename themselves, some parents might not want their child's name on the screen, so you might want to leave that checked so they can change their names. If you have older kids and you're worried about them messing around with that, then uncheck that box. And then one of your remove buttons, if there's an issue, is right there that you can click remove and remove a student who is being disruptive. Okay. The other thing is in the chat box here, this is your chat box. It will show up on the side if somebody sends a text. There is, if you click on the three dots, here are your options. You can change your chat. Right now, the default is anybody can talk to anyone, which also means the kids can talk to each other and you not know about it. So just be aware of that. Um, you may want to change your chat to host only. Only you can send the students chats and they can only chat with you. Okay. And then your other option is no one, which means turn off your chat. No one can chat to each other. Okay. And you can have the option to merge it into the meeting window. I leave it on the side. I like it on the side out of the way. One more thing that you should do before you start your meeting is actually check your video. Like right now, I have a camera, a document camera hooked up to my computer so that I could read a book to my students. So you just want to make sure that the kids are seeing what you want them to see. Now, my district, by default, the video is turned off when anyone logs in, and then they have to turn the video on. So if I go ahead and turn this video on, then I can see which camera it's using. If I click on the up button here, it'll list the cameras that are available to you. So this iPivo Ziggy HD, that is the document camera from my school district that I have hooked up to my computer. And then the FaceTime HD camera is the one that's built right into my computer here. So right now, if I start this meeting, it's going to go to the document camera, but I might want the kids to see my face first. So I'm going to click on the FaceTime camera to change it. So now I'm going to start the video part. And I'm just going to get this out of the way. And so right now I have the camera on my computer set to go. And if I wanted to show the students the document camera view for my lesson, then I would click on the Ziggy HD. That's the other camera. So this is the book that I have on the side that I can read to the students. Okay. All right. So let me switch back to me. In a different tutorial, I'll show all the different ways of sharing the screens, things like that, because that's another discussion. Then also, we need to add the students. This is bright orange, let you know you got students who want to come on in. So let's go ahead and let those students in. You can check their names. As long as they put their names, hopefully you can recognize them. I just have a couple extra devices set up behind me so I can actually show you what it looks like when other students are logged in. Okay, now in my district, by default, the videos and mics are turned off on the students. So when they join in right now, they can see me, but they can't see anybody else. All they see is the black box with the name of whatever they put in when they were trying to join the meeting. Okay, so you would have to tell your students, okay, boys and girls, if you'd like, go ahead and turn off your camera, or you can turn it off too. So I can click on each icon and I can ask them to start their video, and they get a little message on their device, do you want to start your video? And so I can say, yep, start my video. Because again, maybe a parent doesn't want you seeing the house. Maybe there's something going on with the baby at the moment. So it might be turned off. So you can ask to start the video and then the student can say yes. Okay. So now everyone can see what I'm doing and what I'm presenting, but they're muted. Now, let me just move this out of the way. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. So again, earlier I showed you under participants, under security, how you can mute friends. Over here on the right side, you can you have the choices again to mute everybody in one click, and you have the option to unmute everybody in one click. Okay, now something else here. Let me switch this over to me. There we go. So you can see me, so you're not distracted. So that's a really helpful feature. Like I tell my students when I'm reading the book, okay, boys and girls, I'm going to mute you now. so that I can read the story, and then I mute everybody, and then before I unmute them, I'm like, "Okay, here's the question. All right, now I'm gonna unmute you guys for us to talk about it." So those are really helpful right there. Also, there's the more button. So you again have another place to check your settings. You can mute the participants on entry, which is really good if kids come in late. Allow the participants to unmute themselves. You might want to uncheck that for younger kids, but for older kids, you're probably fine leaving that checked. You can add a little doorbell sound when someone comes in. It'll go ding dong, and when they leave, it leaves like an exit sound. Again, you have the option to rename themselves. You have the option to lock the meeting. Again, be careful. If you lock the meeting and someone leaves, they can't get back in. And if someone comes late, they can't get in once you lock the meeting. So just be aware of that. My district is not allowing the kids to raise their hands. There's a feature with Zoom that kids can raise their hand if they have a question. There's like applause. There's like little messages you click and let the teacher know, oh, you're going too fast or too slow, things like that. It looks like that's disabled for my district. And then enable waiting room again is set to default in my district. All right, so that's the participants over there. And then if you want to, once you get your meeting going, and everyone's here, if you want to switch to gallery view so you can see all your students, that I find really helpful. And if you want to tell your kids how to do it, just go hover around up near the top. It'll say gallery view and it'll look like a grid, just like Google's grid. Click on that. And then they'll see all the kids in the class. And it's much easier when you're having a conversation with the kids to have the grid view than to have the speaker view because the speaker view will um, it changes to whoever's talking, and obviously with lots of little kids talking at once, it gets a little crazy. So I recommend the gallery view for you as a teacher and recommending you do that for your students so that when they can see everybody and they can see that someone's mouth's moving, they'll be like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be talking right now." Or, you can say, you're going to raise your hand and when I call on you, then you can speak. So a couple, things you have to try out with your students to see what works best for you. Okay. And there is the option to go full screen. Again, I'd be careful about that just because if you're not comfortable with this and you're trying to show things on your computer or you're trying to do document camera, it gets a little messy if you're stuck in full screen in Zoom. Okay. All right, so this video was just to show you the nuts and bolts of starting a meeting and managing the students. I'm going to do another tutorial on the different ways you can share your screen and how you can do things. Really quick, that you can share your desktop screen, which is what I'm doing right now. You could share a specific window or app. You could share an iPhone or an iPad device via a cable AirPlay, but this might be blocked if you're using a school device. It all depends on the permissions. And then you can also have the option to show content from a second camera, which I have set up here, sound, or a portion of your screen. I'm going to go into that type stuff in a different tutorial. So I hope you found this video really helpful, and please check my other tutorials as I break this whole Zoom thing down into smaller pieces to help you out. Okay, good luck.